last line of that other person. We are live.
Good morning, everyone. I extend a very warm welcome to each and every one of you. We are delighted to have Ms. Aarti Sharma, a motivational speaker, to inspire and guide us on effective communication and life skills. I also extend a very warm welcome to our Vice Principal, Ms. Gayatri Kapoor, for gracing the occasion. Now, I request Kerry to take the session forward. Over to you.
Thank you, Dani. Life skills are a critical part of being able to meet with the demands of daily life, and communication is important to express oneself. As rightly said, communication is the bridge between confusion and clarity. With this, I would like my friend Devangshi to introduce our prestigious guest.
Thank you, Karavi. 360-degree image makeovers were started by Ms. Aarti Sharma with a vision of enabling people realize their latent exclusivity by a process-driven methodology targeting holistic upgradation of appearance, behavior, and communication. With over 2,000 hours of motivational speaking experience, Ms. Aarti has devoted her life to democratizing empathic and charismatic behavior in all walks of life. As a devoted mother, Ms. Aarti believes that parenting, like any other skill, is not innate and can be acquired. She spearheaded the International Life Skills Olympiad and has a relevant experience in the field of communicative parenting. I now invite Ms. Aarti Sharma to help us in explore the process of effective parenting. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much for such a lovely and warm welcome. Dear Daneen, Devangshi, and Karvi, I hope I'm pronouncing your names fine. Thank you so much for inviting me here. First of all, let me pay my gratitude towards BIRLA Vidya Niketan, as both my children, they studied here from nursery to class 12th. And I would say that whatever they are today, it's all because of the values and the teachings imparted by all the teachers of BIRLA Vidya Niketan. Thank you, Shabna ma'am. She's one of the class teachers of Raghav, who's my eldest son. And right now he's pursuing his MS from Stanford University. The credit goes to all the teachers. Thank you so much for having me here. So let's begin with our session. Are we all ready? So as parents would agree with me that parenting is no rocket science. However, it is no less than rocket science either. I know parenting is tough, but by using effective communication skills, we can make this parenting journey purposeful and happy. Parenting is a sheer bliss. When we see our children growing up, the bond which we form with them, when we see that our values are being imparted to them and they are able to carry themselves in the real world effectively, we feel such proud. And today I'm going to share with you certain tips and tricks, as communication is the main pillar of any successful relationship, whether it is professional or it is personal. So let me start the screen sharing. Shall I go ahead, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
I hope all of you can see the screen. Communication is the key to effective parenting. Parenting is not just taking care of your children. Parenting is so much more than just making a child grow from his childhood, from the baby stage to the adulthood. It is all about that bond. It is all about inculcating the values which parents feel should be there in children's lives. So let's start with the session, and let me share the objectives of today's sessions. In today's world, when everybody is so busy, when both the parents are most of the time working parents, so we have time barriers. We have real-time barriers which are there in communication. At times, parents are so overwhelmed with all their duties that they do not get enough time to talk to their children. Also, if we do not have effective communication, there are certain consequences which cannot be reversed. We'll talk about all that today. We'll also talk about best practices to develop healthy communication. As one of the students rightly said, that this is a skill which is a learnable skill. It's not just innate. So after today's session, I'm sure all the parents sitting here, all the parents in the webinar would be able to learn a few tips and tricks which would make their parenting journey more beautiful. We are also going to talk about how at times we end up giving negative nurturing and how to start a journey from negative nurturing to positive nurturing. We are also going to talk about how to compose ourselves during stressful situations. There were times when we were kids, and at that time, we never thought, we hadn't even heard of the word stress and anxiety. But times have changed today. Even small children, they feel that they are stressed. Sometimes even they feel frustrated. And for parents, it is just so difficult to understand that how come children be stressed. We'll touch upon that also. So let's get started. Parents, are you ready? Okay, this is a small questionnaire, but this is only for your own consumption. I don't want to know the answers. I think all of you have a pen and paper with you, a notebook. So all the parents can write the answers. Now, parents, you have to be truthful. If your children are sitting with you, please do not cheat. You are not allowed to ask your children the answers. And children, do not tell any answers to your parents. Agreed? Let's see how much they know you. So there are certain questions. You don't need to write the questions. You simply write the answers. And this is absolutely for your own consumption, for your own knowledge. So shall we get started? So these questions, अभी तो आज parents का भी इम्तिहान होगा. कैसा है बच्चों? बढ़िया बात है ना? Okay. So the first question is, do you know who your child's best friend is? If you know, please pen down the name. If your child has more than one best friend, you may write that also. And children, if your parents do not know, do not tell them. Okay. Are we all done with question number 1? That's an easy one. Now let's come to question number 2. Can you list the favorite destinations of your child? Maybe a dream destination where your child wants to travel one day. Keep thinking. Now comes a difficult one. I'll give you a moment to think about it. And this question says, can you list out the strengths and weaknesses of your child. Parents, I know it's a little tough one. I'm going to give you some time to think about it. After all, they have been staying with you for quite some years now. And children, meanwhile, you can also just think that what are your strengths? Because this is a good point of reference for your own self, for your own self-growth. Maybe your child is a good communicator. Maybe your child is good in painting. Maybe your child is a musician in making. I'm just giving you hints. Just because this is in a webinar mode, so parents, don't stop writing. आपसे ये आंसर शीट हम मंगवा भी सकते हैं. Done? Shall we proceed to the next question? Can you tell what career your child wants to choose when he or she grows up? As of now, I know it keeps changing, where as children grow, they decide later, and it keeps changing. But right now, in this phase of life, what is the career that your child wants to choose? Can you tell us which sport your child loves to play or watch? I know half of the parents are going to write cricket. That is a safe option. So parents, is that making you think how much you know about your child? Now comes the more difficult one. How does your child feels about himself or herself as in this self-image? How your child looks at himself or herself. When I say self-image, that means what is the image the child carries about himself? What is the image the child thinks he has? I know this is a tough one because we have never paid attention to all these relevant questions. When I say self-image, that also includes that whether the child feels confident or whether the child feels that the child is not able to express herself well. All these things come under self-image. Now the next question is, how does your child feels about his or her physical image? In today's times, even very small children become very conscious of their physical appearance. So do you know how does your child feels about his or her physical appearance, physical image? As the children here, in a couple of years, they are in pre-teens right now, and the teenage is going to set in soon. That is the time when children feel that there are so many physical changes happening in the body. So it's good for the parents to be aware of how a child perceives himself or herself as in their physical image. And now, that is the last one, last but not the least. How does your child take his or her own decisions? Does your child takes his or her own decisions? Or are you the one who are always deciding for her? Parents, I think these questions are quite relevant. And if the answers are limited to your own assumptions, then I think you need to dive deeper, an inch deeper into every question. You may sit with your children, spend some time with them, ask them these questions, because these are the questions which are going to shape who he or she becomes as an adult. Now, keep these answers with you. You don't need to share them with anyone. This is just for you and your child. Children, later on, you may tell your parents whatever they couldn't answer. To begin with our presentation, our session, let's see what are the common barriers between parents and children. I think this one, all parents would agree, technological gap. There is a communication gap, no doubt, but this gap is really difficult. I faced it big time. Children are so tech savvy and they would do everything so promptly. And at times, parents feel left out. Also, at times, parents feel, I don't need to learn. So parents, that also creates a technological gap. However, we can bridge this gap by playing some games with them. I remember I used to play PUBG with my sons. I know that was a tough one and they would always beat me in that. But I did try to learn. That was an amazing time of bonding. You can ask your children to teach you some of how to operate some of the apps, how to use some of the apps to bridge this gap. So children, I hope you all teach your parents as well as grandparents. Do you teach? How come you are so smart? Okay. There is a difference in attitudes and perspectives. We were born in a different time when there was not that much of exposure. And today the whole world has become very small because of the internet. So definitely there's a gap between how we perceive things and how children look at the world. That also creates a gap. Sometimes there's an unnecessary need of control from the parent's side. And they not only want to control the behavior of their children, they also want to control each and every outcome of every situation for their children. That also creates a gap. Sometimes because of lack of time, because of busy schedules, there's insufficient communication. One more thing which parents are guilty of is demanding perfection from their kids. Parents, you must understand that it's for us to leave perfection and encourage excellence in our children. Nothing in this world is perfect, not even us. Nobody is perfect. We all are learning each day. Then how come we expect perfection from our children? So instead of perfection, encourage them to excel in whatever field they choose, whatever work they do, whether it is a small household chore or it is their project or exam. I would encourage you to inculcate to be excellent in whatever they do instead of trying to make them perfect. Because there's an innate beauty in being imperfect. And if we can see that beauty in imperfection, we can have an amazing bond with our children. Some more barriers are criticizing. Parents, we don't even come to know that all day we are criticizing children. Think about the whole day and what all did you say to your child yesterday? And you will realize all you do is telling them what they didn't do right. As if we are there as policemen to tell them this is right, this is wrong. Parents, I would like to request all of you to throw out 3 C's from your life. And the first one is criticism. Second is comparison. And the third is control. So whosoever is watching live, parents, I want you to do like this. Throw away. Are parents doing that? Once again, throw away. Throw away criticizing, throw away comparison, and throw away control right now from your life. If you want to have amazing relationship with your children. Nobody, research shows that nobody can learn by criticizing. We can learn only by appreciating and by telling children how to do a certain thing. Do not compare your child with anyone, whether it is his or her sibling or anybody else. We all are unique in our own ways. God hasn't made any two individuals similar. Imagine if you go to a park which has beautiful flowers, and suppose that all the flowers are red in color. Would you like that? Beauty lies in diversity. A park is beautiful, a bouquet is beautiful when it has all different shades. And that is the beauty of having all different kinds of personalities. So embrace your child who he is or she is, and do not compare the qualities of two children. How would you like if you are being compared to? We don't like when we are being compared to. So from today onwards, whenever you are going to speak anything which lies in the category of comparison, just stop yourself. Also, I talked about control. We'll talk about it later, that it's that urge in us to control every outcome for our children that creates stress, not only in children's life, in our lives also. We cannot control every situation and every outcome. They are who they are, and they will be who they want to be. So leave these throw these 3 things out of your life. Which are the 3 C's? Daneen, aap bataoge? Okay, let me repeat. Criticism, comparison, and control. So Daneen, can you tell me once again? Okay, criticism, comparison, and control. So parents, next time when next time parents try to do any of the things, you can remind me of this webinar. You can remind them of this webinar. Another barrier between children and parents is asking wrong questions. We'll see the example in the coming up slides that how we end up asking irrelevant questions, and then we feel that why aren't children talking to us? If you ask relevant questions which are logical, children do reply. We also forget at times that we were kids too. You know, how many of us are guilty of saying, parents, be truthful to yourself. हमारे टाइम में तो ऐसा होता था. हमारे टाइम में बच्चे ऐसा नहीं करते थे. हमारे टाइम में ऐसे कपड़े नहीं पहनते थे. How many of you are guilty of saying all that? So many of us are. Now, parents, let me ask you a frank question. Do you want to become old, or do you want to stay young and fresh? Definitely everybody wants to stay young. So let me tell you a secret here. Those who talk about past become old soon. And those who enjoy the moment, they remain young forever. How does that sound? So next time when you are going to utter these words, हमारे time में ऐसा होता था, remember, I'm not old, I'm young. And what do youngsters talk? They talk about present. So is that a promise, parents? No more talking about, and teachers also. No more talking about हमारे टाइम में ऐसा होता था, हमारा टाइम आज ही है. Kids, they live in present moment, and that is what we need to learn from them. One moment they fight, and the other moment they become friendly again. So we must learn this from kids, because if we keep talking about the past, they can never be associated with us. Also, parents, remember, kids are ruled by emotions. They are not adults. They are growing up. Not only their body is growing, even their brain is developing. And during this pre-teen phase, children are not able to comprehend their emotions. They are ruled by emotions. As parents, we learn it the hard way to have control over our emotions. So how do we expect these small children to have full control over their emotions? Don't worry if at a moment they just burst into tears and at the other moment they start giggling. That's all right. Because right now, their emotional, the part of the brain which holds emotions is developing. So try to understand that. And I hope that will help to overcome this barrier. So what are the consequences of ineffective communication? Children develop poor language skills. There's a weak emotional bonding between parents and children. Any behavioral problem that any adult has, research shows that its roots lie in the childhood. So any behavioral problem that even we are facing today is because of how we were brought up. So parents, we need to be absolutely aware that we must have effective communication with our children so that they become responsible adults. If we are not able to communicate with our children all about the highs and lows of life, then they do not learn the conflict resolution skills. Today, everybody has to work in teams. Nobody can work alone. So remember, whether it is family life or it is professional life, we need to learn how to resolve our conflicts. And who else can teach better than the parents? If you do not communicate well with your children, they end up becoming bad. They end up taking wrong decisions in life. If you will keep on taking all decisions for them, they'll end up becoming poor at decision making. So give them a few options and give them a free hand to make decisions, at least for small things. And ineffective communication definitely affects child's overall growth, and that means overall development of our social system and the whole world. Okay, so now there's a small activity to begin with. I'm going to read this out. And then anybody can tell me, whosoever is there to tell me, any child or any teacher, if they can speak, or I'll just explain this to you. In this scenario, tell me what are these two people communicating. When I asking this question, I mean to say that what are the ideas, feelings, information that is being expressed here. Let's see, this is a common scenario in our households. Father tells to his child in agitated tone, you always eat junk food. You will fall sick, ill. You do not listen to me. You have become so stubborn. Parents, is that a common scenario? And then what does the child reply? In a crying tone, the child says, you are always giving me milk and veggies. I don't like them at all. Why don't you give them pizza with veggies on top? You don't love me. So this is a common scenario. And this generally happens when parents become frustrated that the child is not eating healthy food. They end up yelling at them and saying all these things. But do you think, is this a proper way of communicating? What is happening here? Yes, Carvi, this is absolutely not done. What is happening here?
So, ma'am, how the father is communicating to the child is not proper communication. He is telling the child what is not to be done, and the child is saying to the father what is to be done.
Excellent. So who's communicating better?
So, ma'am, the child is communicating better to the father.
Excellent, Carrie. Yes. At times, we are guilty of not communicating in the proper way. And this is no communication. What is happening? There's a blame game. And whenever we blame, there's no communication. The moment you blame someone, the door of the heart closes. So this is one thing, parents, I want you to throw out immediately from your communication, and that is blaming children for everything. Now here, another point which I want to focus on is generalizing their behavior. So here father is saying, you always eat junk food. Is that the reality? No. We parents are guilty of generalizing every situation. Now, what I'm going to suggest you here is, this is an important tip. Whenever you have a conflict situation where your opinion doesn't match with the child's opinion, please stick to the present moment. Only stick to the present issue at hand and do not bring out past things or generalizing the whole event. That would help you to find the right words. Another thing which I would like to share here is that instead of blaming them and telling them what not to do, give them options. Here, what the child is doing, the child is solution oriented, whereas the parent is behaving by focusing only on the negative parts. So we need to become solution oriented. Just keep the goal of communication in your mind. What do you want to communicate through this situation? Yes, Suguna has said in the chat that during the pandemic, most of the children had less communication with other children. As a result, they just mimic the adult behavior, and it is not always acceptable. How do we guide them? A very relevant question. We'll talk about this in the question hour. So right now, as of now, remember parents, just stick to the present moment as present situation and try to put all your focus towards the solution and not blaming or criticizing the child. So now we are going to talk about best practices for healthy communication. The first thing which I want to bring focus to is, do not raise your children in the same manner you were raised by your parents. Times have changed and we end up disciplining our children the way we were disciplined. However, this is not that relevant today. So parents, you need to evolve and think about better ways of communicating with your children, more options, since we didn't have that many options when we were kids, we did not have that open communication channels with our children. So you must remember to find out new ways, how to speak to your children. How you can learn that? By giving open-ended questions to them. When a child comes back from school, this generally happens. The parents ask the children, how was your day? Children, is that a common question which you are asked by your parents? And every day over the years, when mom or father ask the same question, children get bored. And they end up saying, it was just the same, nothing new, or it was not good. So what to do is that think about, parents, this tip is amazing. Think about some creative questions which you can ask your children so that they open up to you, and then you have a fruitful communication. Let me share a very good experience with you. My youngest son, Madhav, was in BIRLA Vidya Niketan, and he would not talk to me anything. He would not tell me anything, whatever happened in his class. So one day I thought, and whenever I asked him, how was the day? He said, it was all right, it was great, and that's all. And he would just rush to his room without telling me what all happened. And I was very curious to know. We all parents are curious to know how our children's day went. So then I thought of an amazing trick. I started asking him open-ended questions. One day, I started asking him this question, and this changed his behavior completely. I asked him, Madhav, tell me, how did you help any of the children in your school today? Now, this was an out-of-the-box question. And Madhav started thinking, I didn't help anyone. So I just told him, next time, every day you are given with so many opportunities to help your classmates, people around you. Do let me know if you ever help anyone. From that day onwards, Madhav started looking for opportunities to help others. And then one day he would come and then tell me, I helped my teacher by giving her the register, or he would tell that I helped this friend of mine with his homework. And that became a deep ingrained value in him. And today I can proudly say he's one of the most empathetic children I've ever met. Why? Because he's always eager to help. That's how parents, we can inculcate some values, the values which you hold very dear to your heart, by taking your conversation towards that value. You may also ask them some other creative questions. Children, can you think of any creative questions? Parents, can you think of any creative questions you can write in the chat? You may also ask them, what was the most interesting thing that happened in the day? You can ask them, no? Okay, you can also ask them, what was the tastiest food that you tasted from your friend's lunchbox? That is also an interesting question. See, these are the communication initiators which initiate the children to speak. So that's how we can build the communication, by thinking of creative questions which children love to answer. Also, do let go, and kids will learn not to hold a grudge. At times we hold on to children's mistakes. If a child has done something wrong yesterday, parents, please do not discuss that today. Leave that issue behind and move on. If we let go, only then we teach our children not to hold a grudge. And if we keep on reminding them of their mistakes, that will affect negatively on their self-esteem, and they'll hold grudges for you and for others as well. So it is the small decisions that we make every day that we create better communication. Now, I would like to share one more experience with you. I went abroad, and there one day I was walking with my son, and I saw two small girls. They were 4 to 5-year-old, and there was a little puddle of water on the road because it rained that day. And one of the girls, she jumped in that puddle of water. And their father was also with them. So 3 of them were there, 2 girls, 2 lovely, beautiful girls, and their father. When one girl jumped into that puddle of water, the other girl also jumped. And parents, what would you do immediately? Tell me. I, as a mother, would, when my children were small, I used to say, no, don't jump here. Can't you walk properly? Can't you take the other route? However, I was amazed to see what that father did. He stood there and said, okay, you play in water for a while, and I'm waiting for you till you are done. It kind of touched me so deeply. Then when both the girls, they started jumping in the water, coming out of the water. They were enjoying like anything, and they were giggling and laughing, and that created an amazing scene. And that's when I realized so many times we miss out on these amazing moments just by telling children to behave. It's important to discipline children, but not when it involves small little joys. So whenever your children try to experiment with something, please do not stop them. Every day, the way you'll behave, this is what is going to create better communication with them. And I can so very well imagine that when the children will grow up, they'll remember this beautiful day. This is how we create memories. Another mistake that we parents do is micromanaging the children. Mothers, I understand. We are natural caregivers. Since God gifted us this little baby, we are so used to taking good care of the baby, feeding the child, bathing the child, and everything was done by us. And somehow we get so stuck in that phase that we forget to transition with time, especially in this age when your children are going to be teenagers. This is a beautiful phase because they can handle so many of the life situations themselves. They can handle so many of things, their daily chores themselves. So parents, it's time for you to transition from a caregiver to a coach, to guide them and not to do everything for them and micromanaging them. Instead, teach them a few life skills. So how many of you students can make a quick sandwich or cold coffee? Oh, wow. Yes, this is the age when parents must teach their children basic cooking, how to make their bed. Teach them a few life skills instead of micromanaging them. And children would love to learn all this, won't you, children? And that creates healthy communication environment. When the way children teach us technology, we can also teach them a few things, won't we? So this is a mutual learning experience. One more thing which generally parents are guilty of is contradicting each other in the presence of child. Yes, parents, I understand that we all have difference of opinions. In daily life, we end up becoming angry and we end up becoming sad. However, we need to create an atmosphere of a comforting atmosphere at home. When parents yell at each other, that creates an atmosphere of doubt and confusion in children's mind. So many times teachers tell us that in today's time, children do not like to say sorry. Teachers, do you agree with me that children do not like to apologize? They have become stubborn. Why so? Because they have never seen anybody apologizing at their home. At times, when you have a conflict situation, it's all right to say sorry to your partner. You know why? Because if you say sorry for your mistakes, then children would remember this thing, that it's all right to make mistakes. We all learn by making mistakes, and it's all right to admit your mistakes. So next time you have a conflict situation, parents, please go ahead and apologize in front of your children to your partner. It's not going to put you down. This is how you are inculcating good manners in your children, by paying gratitude for every small thing which every member of the family does for each other, by acknowledging their efforts, by giving them credit for all the good things. If you keep fighting and shouting in front of children, it really affects their self-esteem in a negative way. Now, this is my all-time favorite. 3 P's of effective communication: physical affection, praise, and practice what you preach. Physical affection. You know, this is the age when you can cuddle and hug your children. You won't even get to know when they grow up so fast, and then you just so miss their beautiful touch. When they are not around, then you miss these lovely moments. You know, touch and a sense of closeness, it creates security and emotional well-being in children. It's not only toddlers or small children who need physical affection. Even teenagers need physical touch. Of course, I'm not telling you to go and hug them in front of their children, because in front of their friends, because at times children get embarrassed by that. Do you children get embarrassed? So find out some creative ways of, having that touch and closeness with your children. What about giving them a good head massage, oil massage? Children, you love that when your parents do that to you? Yes, these are the things which strengthens our bond. 9 minutes are very important in a child's life. 9 minutes of physical touch on daily basis. Research shows that 3 minutes when they wake up, 3 minutes when they come back from school, and 3 minutes before they go to sleep. These 9 minutes need physical touch by parents. You can just wake them up instead of hurrying them up. Jaldi se uth jao, late ho gaye ho. Instead of hearing all that early in the morning, just give yourself 3 minutes and wake them up by putting a hand on their head, holding their hand. It won't take a long while to do that. It just needs a couple of minutes. That creates an amazing bond. Also at the bedtime, you can put them to sleep. Even if they sleep in the other room, you can just go and say good night, hold their hand, touch their head. Physical affection plays a great role because it increases the level of dopamine in our body, and which is a happiness hormone. And remember, mothers, happy mothers raise happy children. So if you are happy, then you are able to raise children who are happy like you. Praise. I can never say enough about this point. Raise by praise is my motto. What children can learn through appreciation, they can never learn through criticizing. Not only praise their accomplishment, praise their efforts as well. Even if they are not able to get a position in a certain competition or certain project, even if they do not get great marks, do not forget to emphasize and acknowledge their hard work. You may say, for example, if your daughter brings a trophy home, not only say that I'm proud of you because you are the winner, tell her, I've been seeing you working hard on this project for long. And that's how you've got this trophy. Isn't that a more fruitful way of communicating? And even if they do not win anything, tell them that I really appreciate your efforts, your hard work that you had put in that particular work or that particular project. Genuine praise raises self-esteem. And we all want children who have good self-esteem, because that's how they become more confident adults. And also parents, sometimes we become guilty of praising others in front of your children. That's all right to encourage them. It's all right to be inspired by the achievements of others. But do not overpraise other children in front of your children, because that sometimes takes a toll on their self-esteem and they feel that they are not good enough. So praise their efforts and accomplishments, and also praise them in front of others. That helps to increase their self-esteem. The third P is the most difficult one. Parents, practice what we preach. Yes, children are small imitating machines. How many of you have seen your lovely little girls walking in your heels? How many of the boys, they like to put that shaving gel on their face and try doing that? Henna? These children are small copying machine. They copy whatever we do. Parents, be aware. They don't do what we say. They do what they see. So you make sure you are able to show them the right way, the ways how you want them to behave. In today's time, so many parents complain that nobody reads books. All day they are busy on phone. So if you carry a book with you when you are traveling, I'm sure your children will also learn to carry one. When the children are studying, make sure you bring some of your office work or maybe a spiritual book. You can start studying with them. Yes, it affects, because then they feel that we are not the only one who's studying. Then they learn that everybody has to keep on learning, because learning is a never-ending process. Anything, whatever we say or do, leaves an impact on child's developing brain. So make sure that you use only the right habits which you want to inculcate in your children. I would also encourage you to have open communication. Gone are the days when we were scared of speaking to our parents about certain issues. In today's time, we must encourage our children to openly talk to us about any topic under the world. Why? Because it establishes an environment in which children are encouraged to talk. If you are not having enough knowledge of that subject, that's all right. You can learn from them, or you can tell them, I can come back to you on this topic after I do my research. It's all right to admit that we do not have full information about each and every topic. However, do not snub them by telling, this is not your age to discuss all that. If the child is saying something, please listen to the child. And here comes my next point, that is listening intently. When I talk about effective communication, the most important part of communicating is listening. You see, God has given us 2 ears and 1 tongue to speak. So what does that mean? Speak half and listen double. At times we are so busy in our work, when the child comes running and trying to tell mom something, the mom says, भाग जा, अभी मेरे पास टाइम नहीं है. ऐसा कहते हैं ना हम कई बार बार क्यों आ रहे हो मुझे परेशान करने? I understand we have a lot of work to do. Let me tell you how to tackle this situation. So whenever your child comes to you and you are busy doing something important, just tell your child, I'll get back to you in 2 minutes. Let me finish this off. And please, parents, make sure that you get back to your child even after 2 hours. Do not just snub the child by saying, बेकार की बातें लेके आ जाते हैं. These things leave scars in their heart. These things leave scars on their psyche when they are not heard. You know, children who are heard well are the ones who are able to express themselves in a better way. Children behave the best when they feel heard and acknowledged. Allow them to express their feelings. Even if you are busy, tell them to get back to you. And do not forget to start that topic when you are again available. Also listen to the overwhelming emotions that your child experiences at times. When you listen to your child's feelings, that creates an unshakable bond. How many times it happens that the girls would just burst out in giggles without any reason? Because this is the age when they are emotional, when their emotions are building. How many times the boys would get so angry? It happens. These are the hormonal changes which occur during and before teenage. So parents, you must admit that our children are also going through a different phase. And we as parents must listen to what they have to say. Yes, this one question I am asked by so many of parents. How to say no? You know what? No is a very strong word. So I would urge parents to use it as sparingly as possible. How many of the parents say, मैं तो इतना बताती हूँ, ये मेरी बात सुनते ही नहीं है? How many of you can relate to it? Yes, if you have to say no to your child, it's important to show that you mean it. So to do that, do not use no too often. We are guilty of using no at each and everything. Just remember that incident where I talked about the two little girls playing in the water puddle. That is just one small incident. All day we are saying, no, don't do this, no, don't do that. Instead of saying what not to do, tell them what can they do instead of that. Give them options. For example, if the child, when you want to tell your child that do not use your phone post 8 p.m., instead of that, say, you may use as much as you want from 6:30 to 7. This half an hour is for you. How does that sound? That sets the boundaries right. Tell them what they can do instead. Also give them precise explanation that why you want this. Try talking to children in a more logical way and giving them 3 reasons for that. Why am I saying 3 reasons? Because it's fed in our mind. 1, 2, 3, go. Generally, we all hear in our school, race mein bhi kya hota hai? 1, 2, 3, go. So when you give 3 things that stays in child's mind, do not overwhelm them with long explanations. Bhashan jise kehte hain. After a while, they stop listening. And remember, it's natural for the kids to retaliate. Accept it, but you stay calm. If both of you will get angry, then there won't be any solution. So if the child is having some overwhelming emotions, parents, you are the ones who have to keep calm and make your no very expensive. Use it only when you actually mean it and not for each and every small thing. Nobody likes toka-taki. Like 3 P's, these are 3 A's of a happy child. One is aware, accept, and allow. Be aware of his physical and emotional changes. Right now, they are growing in the growing phase. Their brain is growing, their emotions are growing. They do not have that much control over their emotions as adults have. They have no control over what is happening in and around them. Children of this age generally are told long sentences by their parents. Do this, do this, do this, and afterwards do that. And children are not able to comprehend. This is called limited peripheral awareness. Parents, what happens that when children are in the growing phase, their mind has a limited awareness, limited peripheral awareness. So if you are going to tell them some instructions from the other room and they are busy playing, they are not able to comprehend it effectively. And then you start yelling, मैंने 2 घंटे पहले बोला था तुम्हारा अभी तक क्यों नहीं हुआ काम? So for this, I'm going to give you a solution. Instead of giving them instructions from far away, go near to them, bend down at their level or sit down at their level. Make eye contact and then tell in 3 simple sentences what you want them to do. Is that clear? Because they cannot understand so many instructions that come far away from them, which is called limited peripheral awareness. And now that you are aware of this, I hope you will definitely try this technique next time. Also accept your child for who he or she is. You can't teach a fish to fly. Try to find out their strengths, as we talked about in the first questionnaire, and then build on them. Allow your child to express emotions and opinion and their opinions. There should be a healthy atmosphere at home wherein the child can express, where the child is not scared of expressing. So these are some additional tips. One is that I would emphasize on transparency. Do not be so secretive that this is what Papa has told. Give them genuine reasons. And when the child is talking, even if he's going on and on, do not interrupt. Because sometimes children want to give it all out. They want to tell you the whole story. Be inquisitive and look interested. Not only you, it's important to look interested also. Do not look bored by Sara din yahi bolte hai. That's all right. When they grow up, they won't have any time to talk to you. And then you'll miss all these moments. These are the gifts which God has given us. And if you don't use this amazing time of their growing up in creating a beautiful bond, you are going to remember all these times and you'll miss them. Do not scold them in presence of others. Celebrate their small successes. Talk to them about your experiences. पर वो वाला नहीं बोलना है कि हमारे टाइम में ऐसा होता था. Eat at least one meal together. Be assertive, but do not be controlling. And now this is my favorite one. Smile more often and be patient. Tell me one thing, parents. How many of you smile when you go to parties? We all smile when we go to parties. How many of you smile at home? Batao, batao. Why? You know what? When we smile, we spread the vibrations of happiness all around us. And as I told you, happy mothers raise happy children. So let's promise to smile more. And children, I'm going to give you a very good clue. This I had with my younger son. We do not like to see our mothers sad, do we? So one day I was sad and my son came और उसने मुझे ऐसे कर दिया. कहता, Mom, you look more beautiful when you smile. And after that, we made a secret code. You know what? Anytime he would see me not smiling, he would do like this. Let's do like this, parents and children all. So next time when you see mothers not smiling, what are you going to do? Remind them of smiling. And next time, parents, when you see your children not smiling, what would you do? So let's smile more often. So all of us are smiling now. Let's do this. Yeah, that's a bigger one. Yes. Let's smile whenever we do anything at home. Let's spread smiles. Mothers who cook, we can associate smiling exercise along with cooking. Mothers who serve can smile while serving. Mothers who teach children can smile while teaching. And that would take your mind off from getting angry. When we smile, we give out signals in the universe that we are happy, and that spreads happiness all over. And fathers, no need to be so gussu gussu. Children, do you like to see your father smiling? So we all like to see each other smiling. So let's start practicing that at home. Spread more smiles. So with this, I would like to end the session. Now, again, a question here. I'm a very strict teacher. बच्चों को तो रोज टेस्ट देना पड़ता है. UTs, monthly tests, half yearlies. Parents की भी आज खबर लेनी चाहिए ना? So one question here in the beginning and one in the end. Parents, this is again for yourself. I would like you to write down these few questions, these few answers, which are these. Name 3 key learnings from the session today. And you may share with your children that what are the 3 learnings and what you are going to apply in your parenting style. What are your communication strengths? I think after the session, you must be able to understand what are your strong points in communication and what are your communication weaknesses, which are the areas you need to work upon more. Also, which are the areas you need to improvise. How does that sound, parents? You can write down these questions. मैं answer sheet मंगवा भी सकती हूँ. Children, you are going to assess this. तुम लोग चेक करोगे ये, ठीक है? कि मम्मी पापा ने लिखा कि नहीं लिखा और कैसा लिखा है. उस पे मार्क्स भी देने हैं, गुड और स्टार्स भी देने हैं. With this, thank you so much for your time. And these are my social media handles. You can reach out to me on any of these. And I also carry out an amazing program called Agile Parenting. Anybody who would like to join me for this is most welcome. This is a program which is online as well as offline. In this, we discuss different styles of parenting, different techniques of communication, and how to form an amazing and strong bond with your children. So that's all from me. Over to you, ma'am. So who's going to take this forward from here?
Children, you had some questions. Please start with the questions.
Our students were excited to interact with you, but due to paucity of time, we have a few questions that I would like my fellow mates to put forward.
Good morning, ma'am. I am Parth from class 5. It is an honor to speak to you. My question to you is, how important is it for parents to model the behavior that they want their child to exhibit?
Excellent question, Parth. And as we discussed during the session also, children don't do what they see. They don't do what you say. They do what they see. So parents, whatever you want your children to learn, you must exhibit that. If you'll get up early, they'll also learn to get up early. If you'll start reading books and discussing about your learnings, they'll also be encouraged to read books other than their curriculum also. Parth, is that good enough?
Thank you, ma'am. That was extremely helpful. Over to you, Sia.
Good morning, ma'am. I am Sia from class 5. I would like to ask you, when parents reprimand their children, the message of love doesn't get communicated properly. What are your views on this?
Thank you so much, Sia. This is an extremely relevant question. Now that you have asked my opinion. So in my opinion, I wouldn't recommend reprimanding at all. It's important to inculcate disciplinary habits in the children. So how do we start? Instead of punishing them or reprimanding them, let's go back to the first phase, that is giving them right instructions. At times, parents are not able to express in a proper way, in a logical way, that what do they expect from their children in a certain situation, and children end up goofing. So parents give them clear instructions, encourage children to take their small decisions so they are not judged upon. And when they feel comfortable, they can come back to you and share their mistakes with them. After all, parents, the whole world is there to teach your children. You have put them in schools. Teachers are there to teach them. They'll start doing jobs, then their managers and bosses will be there to teach them. But who other than you as parents? Only as parents we can give them love, unconditional love. So instead of reprimanding them, especially in public, it's better to discuss with them and tell them the right consequences and give them right instructions beforehand.
Thank you, ma'am. We'll keep this in mind. Over to Dani.
Hello, ma'am. I am Danin Gulzar from class 5. I'm curious to ask, there are a lot of real-time barriers in communication. How can we bridge that gap?
Yes, Tanin, I talked about all the barriers in the session, whatever I could in this small session. So I hope you know now the technological barrier and lack of time and how to overcome that.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for sharing this valuable information. Over to you, Devangshi.
Thank you, Dani. Good morning, ma'am. My question to you is, what is the difference between negative and positive nurturing?
Yes, Tanin, we discussed this also in our session. Remember that term helicopter parents? You know what are helicopter parents? These are the parents who like to control all the situations and outcomes for their children. They are on their head all the time, revolving like helicopters and doing everything for them. No, we don't need negative nurturing. We want the children to be able to take their own small decisions and teach them certain life skills. How does that sound, Devanshi?
Thank you. This is really helpful. Over to you, Jia.
Thank you, Devangshi. Hello, ma'am. I am Jia Arora of class 5. My question to you is, what important points should keep in mind when their child faces an unfamiliar or stressful situation?
That's a very important question, Jia. Yes, today children are exposed to so much more than they were exposed to in our times, in earlier times. So parents, you must be extremely patient and give a listening ear to whatever your child has to say. Similarly, children, when you see that your parents are under some stress, maybe because of some issues, some professional issues, I would like you also to understand them and think from their perspective. So it is a mutual contract, unsaid contract that parents would understand, try to understand at least by trying to be in the shoes of children, that how much stress there is because of so many expectations from them, from the school, from their extracurricular activities, and from peers as well, especially at this age. So parents, please be a little more calm. And I would like to say that parents, be firm yet polite. Be as polite as you can, because children mirror our behavior. Thank you, Jia.
Thank you so much, ma'am. This was really helpful. Over to you, Sia.
On behalf of everyone here today, thank you so much, ma'am, for your time and enriching words. We appreciate the valuable information, advice, and the expertise you have shared with all of us.
We are fortunate to have you with us as today's speaker. This enriching session will positively affect the way we look at parenting. Thank you once again, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Jia. Let me write down my phone number for everyone. This is my phone number. In case anyone wants to connect with me for detailed sessions, you are most welcome. And any more queries, as that would help me also to understand what parents say. Thank you, Shabnam ma'am. Over to you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for sparing time for us, and you have given us wonderful tips, and I'm sure all parents, teachers, and students, they may have learned something how to cope up with it during these tough times. And thank you so much for everything. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Before going, I must say that these kids are amazing. They have made my smile broader today, and there's an amazing energy out here. Thank you, BIRLA Vidya Niketan. I can't thank you enough from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.